On the blue side, we'll see if that does change things for Immortals as far as maybe those early lanes go. But relatively safe picks here to kick things off. Zyra Rise from Cloud9, Camille, Rengar, LeBlanc for Immortals. There's Rengar.
If we see a Malzahar and a LeBlanc ban down the stretch, they would have been the exact same bans as Game 1, but it's a little different here. Fiora early ban by Cloud9, making sure Flame can't get into that split-pushing Fiora win condition.
Immortals sticking to the trio. As we see, Cloud9 do go for that first pick, Kha'Zix, so almost a mirrored draft, but of course the sides have changed. So we saw Contractz was happy to play Lee Sin into Kha'Zix, now he'll play the Kha'Zix side, potentially of the matchup.
Yeah, and then another question will also be whether or not the Malzahar ban gets picked up very early or not.
Well, there's Maokai actually for Flame, and there's Varus for Cody Sun. This has been a common trend in Immortals drafts, picking Varus very early for their AD carry player. And Flame is really saying that, I didn't like that Nautilus thing, give me the good tank.
Yeah, Cody Sun's also had a couple very good performances on Varus compared to his other AD picks, so this is super interesting now. Interesting how Flame hovered the Kennen right before he picked the Maokai, because in areas where we have seen the Wits End top lane Kennen, it has been very good into Maokai. But with that, we have to wonder if C9 is going to play a conservative draft where they match top lane AD right now, and then, well, since they've locked in their AD, they'd have to match top lane right here. Otherwise, we're going to see a mismatch and potential target bans coming their way.
And interesting to see the Ashe now from Sneaky. We mentioned it before, but he was taking Jhin over Ashe in the last game, where it was the opposite last week. Now he's back to taking Ashe, so who knows what's happening. It looks like Cloud9 might just take their tank. So they are going to mirror here, which makes sense, and Nautilus is the lock-in.
Yeah, and it's all about giving varied looks to the opponent team. You just can never really pin Reaper down on exactly how he's going to draft, and it's because they can find success with all these different styles. Maybe they don't truly have preferences. They just have a top tier of champions, and they're fine interchanging them for whatever type of team composition they want. So one thing about Ashe is it's a little bit better of a straight pick composition than something like Jhin.
And it could be maybe with the Kha'Zix they want to make some changes. That's probably subtle things if there are changes at all for Cloud9, but I love this. I always love to see this in games. Contractz had such a good Lee Sin game. Now Dardoch is going to take the reverse matchup and see if he can show up. But for Contractz, if he's trying to make a statement here, winning both sides of this jungle matchup would look very good.
Yeah, and it's the complete run back because it's also the reverse top lane matchup. So a lot of times people say top lane can be a 2v2 lane. That's kind of what it turned into with Dardoch spending so much time up there. If they can't win this matchup on this side, it's going to be trouble.
Certainly is. There's Karma ban from Immortals, the Corki ban from Cloud9. So just a couple target bans here in some roles that haven't been picked up just yet.
Yeah, and all this is happening with Malzahar still being on the board. So unless C9 decide to ban Malzahar here, you wouldn't be too surprised to see it picked fairly early by Immortals, but having the same rules as everyone else, they ban a non-Malzahar support with Thresh.
That is Thresh. I mean, Cloud9 maybe...
Of course, they wouldn't ban them.
Yeah, we can give it away. I mean, Smoothie does look good at Misfortune. I think Ashe is probably fine there as well as far as dual lanes go. So kind of be curious to see what Cloud9 want to do, but they've got one more ban to give away. Malz is the obvious choice that I think you've highlighted, but we'll see exactly where they're thinking.
And it gets much more heavily into targeting ban phase when they have mirrored the roles in the early part of the draft phase. This time, top lane, marksman, and jungle.
There's a real target ban, actually. Morgana, just straight off the table for Olleh. And I wonder if that means Immortals want to pick something else. They actually pick Lulu, kind of expecting the Malzahar.
Yeah, and Lulu is decent into Malzahar, which is why they feel like this is a fairly safe pick, and also considering that there are 4 supports banned in the ban phase, so they've taken away a lot of the supportive supports, so to speak.
Doing the opposite side of kind of the draft as well. I mean, looks like they are going to still pick the Mouse here, but Lulu's the blocker pick here. Instead of taking the strong pick, they take the pick that dissuades you from picking the strong pick. But Cloud9 do not look particularly perturbed. They're going to take Malzahar there.
So the reason that some people think Lulu is a good pick into Malzahar is due to picks. You kill the Voidling 1 hit faster because the picks counts. Not to mention, if you ult someone with Malzahar, the immense shielding you get from the Lulu ult is great. Not to mention, you can also interrupt the Malzahar with the Lulu ult if you're close enough. So a couple pretty critical things.
Well,
there's fighting against Malzahar.
Last pick Syndra from Jensen, so pretty safe blind pick mid laner. But Pobelter has almost every mid lane pick available to him, with apart from LeBlanc and Ryze, which are the super strong mid laners. So he's going to get his chance at a counter matchup now. We've seen this from him before. We saw it from Jensen actually versus Bjergsen. There's the Fizz.
Yeah, awesome to see that coming out of Pobelter. Pobelter and Jensen, funnily enough, the only two NALCS players to play Fizz yet.
That is correct.
This split. And I believe it's actually been in these matchups as well. So both of them should be familiar here with the way the game goes. Assassins are good picks into Syndra, surprisingly, even though people consider Syndra the assassin, since she assassinates you with one button. Oftentimes, Fizz very good at juking around those spells, though, and it becomes quite a skill matchup.
Certainly does, and fun to watch there. Pobelter kind of got to hand it to him in game number 1, so we'll see if he can answer back with his own counter pick, or if the consistency and strength of Jensen will matter here. And once again, we'll be looking towards that top side of the map for both these teams. No carries here for the top lane, so we'll see another clean tank v tank battle. But I think Contractz and Dardoch, they had good starts to the last game. Contractz got the better of Dardoch on the Lee Sin. Mid jungle and maybe jungle top for the Immortals side were big moments in the first game, so kind of curious to see how that all works out. And I'm kind of expecting bottom lane for nothing much to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a possibility until they hit level 6 at least, because the Ashe as well as the Varus have really tremendous gank assistance for these guys. But as you say, whenever there's that draft where they're mirroring the roles early on, and they've also mirrored the type of champions they're playing, we see very similar team compositions on both sides.
Surprise. Well, I guess it'll just be about execution and play. Then Cloud9 had it all in game number 1. If they can make another good-looking game and get yet another sweep, they're starting to pick up even more momentum moving through the second week of the LCS.
Absolutely. The one game they have dropped was against Team Dignitas, but they still managed to win that series 2-1. And with the swiftness in which they win game 1, they're pretty huge favorites coming into game 2.
Well, it could be a short hour or so. We'll see if Immortals have the answer in game number 2, as Sneaky and Smoothie will move themselves down towards their bottom lane. Very curious, as always, to see kind of where everyone fans out to. I wonder if Malzahar is going to get himself into a brush and try and abuse the early power of the Voidlings. You can see Olleh actually not skilling up anything just yet. The Sneaky is camping that tri-bush. Olleh, yeah, I think he knows he's got to be careful. Just going to go all the way into the back of that brush and sit there.
No, you do not mess with Malzahar in the first 2 levels of the game, because those Voidlings will destroy you. Sneaky having a party.
Dancing it up. Everyone, oh, it's over.
Yeah. Meanwhile, elsewhere.
Some Keystone Mastery is looking very standard, much like last game. And Impact and Flame, we'll see if they get some attention. No, not today. Dardoch again, looking around that red buff. Contractz over towards the blue, so it should be same side jungle starts once again. We talk about a mirrored draft here. That's the kind of dance party. That's some great synergy.
I see no reason why they can't just continue to do this.
Instead of lane.
Yeah. Jensen and Impact will carry, don't worry.
As I said, some of the best dances in the game. There we go, blue buff time. And again, with Contractz and Dardoch on the same side, curious to see where their pathing goes. They're still farming up to level 4 before. No early pressure really to those lanes, but Dardoch wanted to concentrate top last time. Contractz a little more towards the midsection, and of course with Pobelter on a very different looking champion with the Fizz versus Syndra on his counter pick. Should see some differences there as well, but again, Malzahar level 1's pretty obnoxious.
Yeah, but you just got to see there how quickly the Lulu can actually get rid of the Void Spawn, so decent. Still takes a bunch of damage, unfortunately, because while they're killing the little Voidlings, their wave is getting pushed in, which is the goal in the bottom lane, is to push the wave early.
Yeah, Ashe, of course, does have a bit of a range advantage in the matchup, so Sneaky playing up nice and aggressive and looking to get damage done early. Cody Sun, though, should be just fine there. There's a level 2 for Cloud9 duo, but looks like they'll just keep this away from their turret for as long as possible. And Cody Sun level 2 now, so things going to be okay. Nice hop there from Pobelter, though. In onto Jensen looking for damage, and that's a really nice trade.
Yeah, in a big minion wave too, but Pobelter realizing that he'd still be able to win the trade, has the Corruption Potion, which enhanced his trading ability and also means he has more sustain than the Doran's Ring. But in these volatile assassin mid lane matchups with the Fizz, the jungle ganks have to be watched out for, and there's not too many wards, so Pobelter playing it pretty risky here.
Good little trade back there from Jensen, procs the Thunderlords, and forces Pobelter to consume another charge of that potion. It looks like he's out of charges so far, and this is kind of the issue with Fizz. I mean, he is good into Syndra, as we saw from the early interaction, but this is going to happen to you constantly.
Yeah. In lanes in which Fizz can survive, he can CS because of the threat of him winning the all-in. as soon as a Fizz gets poked out and loses the threat of the all-in, he completely cedes the lane to the opponent. So even though Pobelter did win that initial trade, he took a few Qs on the back end, ran out of Corruption Potion charges, and Jensen was able to shove him out.
And you can kind of see just how intense the 1v1 is, because Jensen has already gone back. He's got his potions, he's early controlled, and a second Doran drink, because he knows all-ins are a consistent theme of this lane. In fact, Contractz is going to make Pobelter's life troublesome. Does get some poke down, but Pobelter will get back to lane. Yeah,
and the important thing about that for Contractz as well is it allows him to, I hope he does it, I hope he was going to freeze the lane, but there's a gank up top.
The flash from Impact, Q from Dardoch's going to miss. Impact, the neat little sidestep. And Dardoch once again showing attention to Flame.
Yeah, but notice what Contractz did do in that lane, is he pulled the minion wave over to the side and kept it on Jensen's side. This is actually perfect, because now, especially since Pobelter is a melee champion, he may not even be able to get that CS without taking hits from the turret. The wave was actually in a temporarily perfect spot, and it means Pobelter misses several CS.
Yeah, there's another famous Fizz versus ranged mage matchup that has a very similar look to this, and Fizz just cannot really handle this sort of freeze. I mean, it's breaking now, which is nice. Jensen knowing this is going to start pushing the lane. And Pobelter just hanging back, playing safe, knows he doesn't want to eat any potential attention from Contractz. And Jensen, despite being ahead right now, Pobelter knows that that's fine. I'm just going to hit level 6, farm safely, and start to impact more all-ins, or potentially roam down to a side lane.
Yeah, he's got the window in which to roam right now. Also, he has the window in which to place wards to see if Dardoch is trying to swing that lane, since it's shoving back and forth, and Syndra can be a very attractive gank target until level 6, in which case she will just kill whoever comes to gank.
Which feels bad. As looks like Smoothie and Sneaky did have that lane pushed up again. They've actually been playing nice and forward in this lane. Dardoch, I think reading this perhaps, is going to get himself down towards this bottom lane and see if he can't affect a gank or two. Pobelter still struggling there, as Jensen staying well within arm's reach, or out of arm's reach I should say, from Pobelter. Just playing back, and looks like Dardoch gave up on a potential bot lane. So Jensen going to ward, keep himself safe, and continue pressuring this Fizz.
So, no surprises so far out of the early game. We're going to get to see when the junglers really start committing to some ganks. Have to track the success of those right now.
Ooh, Voidling's not going to give it away. Good pull away from Olleh. Now Dardoch going to wait into this brush. Kind of knows that the lane's not in the best spot for it, so he's going to have to play back. And Pobelter, he's low. Jensen's ready. Actually committed the ultimate just to do some harass down. So Fizz is out of charges. Darkseal's helping, but Jensen just pushing in now, starting to deal turret damage. And Pobelter needs help. He doesn't have his teleport anymore. Yeah,
very early turret damage there for Jensen. Feeling incredibly confident in that lane. Last game, they were able to take both solo lane turrets because of the pressure they were putting out. Similar start to mid lane here.
And good information that gotten by Contractz. Didn't want to 1v1 Dardoch with the level differential, but finds him potentially looking for something around mid, so knows that Jensen is covered. Fish is going to miss. Jensen, just so good at dodging skill shots.
Yeah, so tough try there. Even if the Fish lands, Contractz could have potentially been there for the counter gank. So now would have had to be a little careful though, because Contractz has actually fallen behind Dardoch as far as raw experience, was down a level before that happened. But as you mentioned, when you got a mid laner like Jensen who can play that far up and then dodge all the skill shots when a gank comes, pretty nice as a jungler.
This is something you were alluding to in game 1, where jungle effectiveness is really a great measure of how good a jungler is. Sure, it's good to be giving your lane attention while keeping up your farm, but if you're in a lane, and kind of Rain over exemplify this for a while, if you go to a lane and you don't get much out of it, how effective really are you as a jungler? And I feel like we've started to see that Contractz is seeming a little more efficient than Dardoch.
Yeah, especially in gank effectiveness, and that is also something that is influenced heavily by your teammates, right? If Dardoch is forced into going to lanes that are already disadvantaged, for instance, there Pobelter had 25% health. He can't even get close before landing the Fish. Meanwhile, Impact may be getting dove. Level 6 Dardoch.
Another dive here. Impact does have his ultimate. He's going to commit it now, but he's taking too much damage already. Comes to the Colossus. He's going to poke. He's trying to get Flame in from under the turret. Dardoch still looking in. Needs more damage, but they can't kill him. Dardoch. Oh no! He's trying to make a play! First blood for Impact, though.
And Dardoch just presses too hard. He saw last game, Contractz and Impact executed that dive, no problem. They go a little bit earlier. Dardoch doesn't have Warrior. Impact just tanky enough, and what was that return by Dardoch? Gives the first blood over to Impact.
Wanted the last bit of damage, but didn't find it. Flame, no teleport, forced a recall, and Impact knows he's going to push the lane in. Let's watch this nutty dive again.
Yep, no flash on Impact. Dardoch is 6, so he thinks it's easy pickings. Flame takes turret aggro, perfect. Get the kick into what he wants. So he baited his shields until the end. And then Dardoch just takes his Q into a minion when he had already safeguarded to safety and gives the kill of Impact. He realizes that was a bit of a goofy play.
Mistake there from Dardoch, but able to laugh it off. Impact, unfortunately, as a result, will get himself a kill, and now healthily walking back to lane. Should be just fine there in the 1v1. A little behind on CS right now because Flame got back earlier, but itemization looking relatively equal. C9 looking to try and steal the blue buff. Pobelter, fish. Almost hits the blue buff. Jensen's going to dodge it again. Now that's a stun. Almost lands Dardoch as well. Great juke from Contractz. Something in the C9 water as everyone's dodging skill shots. Flame down here as well, though. Pobelter looking for something. Olleh's also here. It's a party. Party over.
Yeah, Immortals roams everyone down there. They do stop the blue buff steal, but how much does that cost them, right? Their top lane is now shoving in. The bottom lane is now shoving in. Even mid lane still having a bunch of turret damage. So once again, they invest resources for no gain.
Smoothie did duck out of bottom lane. See something happen. Oh, that was close. Pobelter though will collect the blue buff and recall back to base. He's got a Negatron cloak, so that should help with a lot of his harass that he's taking. And his teleport's up if he wants to get back to lane ASAP. Looks like Abyssal Scepter will be the first item for him. And yep, kind of knows that he needs to keep staying ahead in this lane, or staying as even as he can, because he's 30 CS behind again.
Yeah, that is a thing that Jensen has been able to do to people, especially Pobelter in this series. Both mid laners, because the kill threat is so high between Fizz and Syndra, have opted to go Negatron Cloak. It's the smart thing to do in this matchup with kill threat, and it's going to push it more towards a farm lane. So that CS advantage will be tricky for Jensen to extend it, but he's been able to gain it, at least in the early game.
Could be all he really needs. Clears out that back wave. Pobelter has gone roaming towards that top side of the river. Scry's Bloom isn't quite going to spot Jensen, but they kind of know there's no one currently close to mid lane on that side. That C9 instead are actually more interested in the Drake that's now available to them. Early Ocean Drake looks to be the plan. Jensen knows he has to push advantage here 1v1, and Contractz and Sneaky going to start this off.
Yeah, I mean, they have shoving waves in all 3 lanes. Immortals has no good way of answering this. And when you get the Ocean Drake this early, it heavily benefits your laning phase. So even though it's not directly allowing them to kill turrets, it will allow them to have higher health and push with more impunity.
Fish! Oh, Jensen can't dodge that one. Gonna wait for the flash, trying to get over the wall. Pobelter though knows this, doesn't flash over. Arrow lands in, and that Contractz looks for the assassination. Dardoch's here though in Contractz. Gonna get it turned around, pops the ulti and gets away.
Very pretty knocking someone into an Ashe arrow, but ultimately not that effective. Pobelter finally landing the Giga Shark, and it allows them to win that trade, so to speak, although it doesn't come up with a kill.
Ocean Drake as well, going to be ticking down, so Jensen maybe feels comfortable to stay for a little bit longer. Has a potion going there as well. Pobelter, kind of knowing he's got the health advantage, is going to push him where he can, but Syndra is a very good ranged wave clear mage.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be too tricky to move out from under the turret.
Unless Pobelter is able to kill Jensen or hit the turret while Jensen's not there, he's not going to be getting any turret damage on that Fizz.
Kind of knowing this, he's going to move together with Dardoch and try and get something else happening. Syndra's just going to keep pushing that wave in. As Sneaky and Smoothie dealing with those creeps on the bottom side. Haven't seen too much of bottom lane so far, just a lot of farming, but early itemization is there once again. Cody Sun, Tear of the Goddess, Serrated Turk, and Sneaky, of course, kind of not on a lethality-based AD carry, is going more for that VF sword as the tank battle ensues once more. I don't see any junglers anywhere near them, so we'll let them have their fun.
So they are really just...
That's the first thing I do, by the way. As soon as someone pants a top, I'm like, where are the junglers?
Yeah.
Back in base, we're okay.
Back in base, looks like these guys are just using spells to amuse themselves. Because unless there's a gank assist, they ain't killing each other. At least at this level, they're able to disengage quite well. I've played many Nautilus Maokai matchups where I've seen solo kills happen, so it is possible.
It certainly is. Oh, Smoothie flash hold onto Olleh. Contractz here with the alley-oop, and they're Sneaky with a kill.
And that is the synergy of Malzahar Ashe. Smart, of Smoothie to go directly for the Lulu, because therefore, Wild Growth, any of the shields, nothing can be used during suppression. They chain it straight into the Ashe arrow, so even after he's out of suppression, he still can't ult himself, and the exhaust would no longer be useful since he's taken the majority of the damage. Clean gank.
Looking good, but Dardoch trying to answer. It just feels like he's been a step behind. But like you said, he's kind of been patching up his lanes here and there because they have fallen a bit further behind. Pobelter's keeping up as best he can. He's got a Sheen now as well, so his damage isn't too bad if he can get on top of a squishy, but Jensen's constantly pushing minions whenever Pobelter's forced to leave the lane. You can see right now, Jensen has good information, so he's keeping back and not letting Pobelter all in him. But Pobelter, I think he wants to roam because he knows that this is kind of just a farm lane, but it is very dangerous to leave a lane and let Syndra attack your turret.
We've also reached a stage in the game where Lee Sin has tremendous mid lane turret dive potential because he can just kick you straight into the mid laner, which is exactly what Immortals is going for, but C9 with the right timing are nowhere to be found.
Happy coincidence perhaps that Jensen with level 11 and the blue buff is going to mean Immortals have to wait longer for this gank. Longer than they'd like, apparently, because they're going to get away from it already. Pobelter back in there. Jensen's like, yep, I see you. I'm going to go play back straight towards my turret once again. And Pobelter is starting to leave, and maybe he can get into a side lane and influence something there, but Jensen's playing safe. Must be frustrating for Pobelter on the Assassin, and he's going to try something here.
They're going to try another one. They have snuck behind the duo lane.
Smoothie doesn't have ulti. Fish missed again. Olleh looking for a slow find. Smoothie and Sneaky. Pobelter dives in. Good Wild Growth comboing in. And now Dardoch looking to kick someone down. Pobelter still diving in. Smoothie eats so much damage. A great snipe from Varus on the back end. Gets him a kill.
Finally, Immortals find some payoff. They've been trying so many of these plays, and C9 cannot quite avoid that one. They use 4 summoner spells. And just on the back end, Cody Sun picks it up with the snipe. Let's see how C9 can answer back.
It's a well-timed snipe as well, because this bottom turret's starting to take damage. Immortals, yes, they were reaching for a lot of different plays, but this one's going to pay off nicely for themselves. They'll get the first turret gold. They'll get themselves a kill. Although this is maybe not the trade they wanted to make, as Contractz and Jensen are able to take down the mid turret. So gold was even briefly. C9 now up by just under 1,000 gold, but geographically, I think mid lane's worth a little more.
Yeah, I think so too, but I also feel like the first turret is very beneficial for Immortals, and it's got to feel really good to have payoff on one of their plays. Sometimes it's not... in the NBA, they call them volume scorers, where they shoot a bunch in order to score points versus the people that have higher percentage shots. Sometimes volume can win you the game, and as long as they keep trying these plays, it could pay off.
Pobelter, that's a flash auto kill there for Contractz as Fizz gets himself stunned for a little too long. And Dardoch, he was looking for another play, but now they've found him, I think. Dardoch gonna have to get himself out. Ulted in by Malzahar. Damage is on. Dardoch needs to leap away. Good kick action, but Malzahar's still there, ready to go. Jensen, though, waiting eagerly on the other side. Good flash from Dardoch. Gets him out. Chain of Corruption committed.
Are they gonna keep chasing?
Contractz wants it. Oh, ulti hits Cody Sun. That's a disaster. Oh. Contractz gets himself the kill.
Yeah, I mean, Immortals has been pulling off more play attempts, but C9 has been much more efficient in there. Dardoch has nothing left.
Silence down. Contractz with the lead. Finds Dardoch. Auto lands in. Spikes aren't enough, but blue buff could be a nice little payoff here.
Yeah, and now they have a lot of control. They've taken the blue buff, and the dual lane down bottom can shove. Sneaky already getting the start on that. Romp can be taken by Contractz. What will Pobelter do to try and stop this? He's got to be careful for his own life.
I mean, he's Fizz. He doesn't really have wave clear to try and defend this bottom lane, so he's got teleport, which isn't too bad. And looks like C9 aren't committing everyone. In fact, they're going to pull away and go for the Mountain Drake that's freshly spawning, so good timing on the play. Immortals have a ward in the back, so they know what's going on, but not in position to really do anything. And once again, Cloud9 making the smart trade.
They ping, though. Flame's also going to be able to recall and shop for this, so this could easily be a forced fight by Immortals.
TP, Smoothie, no, has to flash. Contractz gets out as well. Immortals actually going to strong arm them off the Drake, and they will get it. Really nice response there.
Yeah, and a little greedy, just a little greedy there by C9, and it is answered by Immortals, so really good on them to fight back in this instance.
You can see Jensen still sticking to the back of that turret, but Pobelter has set up a new home in the bottom side of the map. It's one of the advantages of having a teleport mid laner. You can more effectively go to side lanes, so Pobelter's going to set up shop there. He's got a turret to go back to as well. So that's a pretty safe spot for him to pick up farm, which he does need. Still being behind Jensen, Wombo combo. That's not one. Contract's going to slow him down. Pobelter just fishes him instantly, and C9 know to pull away.
Yeah, really tough to orchestrate ganks on a Fizz. Even if he wouldn't have sidestepped, he still had the potential to just play full Trickster and become untargetable. Good of Pobelter to back away there, but I do not agree with Cloud9's play of trying to use that as their initiation when there are so many other potential targets like Cody Sun and...
Yeah, it feels like they're just kind of, you know, it's pretty low percentage play, but I think it's safe to make given that cooldown should be back up. And they're going to continue pushing down here. See if Pobelter can handle a 1v2. And that bottom turret is a little low as well, so I'm not sure Pobelter is going to be able to protect it. Cloud9, though, not enough vision here to really be overextending. Have to just push the wave and back. So that's good news for Fizz to be able to get more farm for himself. And you can see even Jensen just defending his turret. It's good that he's getting farm, but he's not making really any more progress as the map's opened up quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And this game, not as out of control as the last one, so a higher chance we will be able to progress to that team fight phase. It's going to be quite interesting. Maokai, a superior late game tank to the Nautilus, but then also we don't have the Cassiopeia type in this game that can really get through tanks in the super late game.
As a quick comparison, at this time in game 1, mid inhibitor was down for Immortals, so it's been a significantly better amount of control here. And even though there's a gold lead for C9, it's only 2,000 gold. Infernal Drake will be a big prize up for grabs as the next one as well. And he knows C9, they just know they have to play a little slower. They don't have the map opened up as much. They need to be aware of the pick potential of Pobelter, of Dardoch. I mean, Sneaky and Smoothie, I like this transition. They're trying to take maybe an easier outer turret.
Yeah. We also notice that they're rotating up before they've even taken the first outer turret. So this is a little bit forced by the fact that Pobelter's now pushing side lanes. They're going to go for another arrow.
Hits Olleh, there's Contractz straight in on top of him. Stun's going to miss from Jensen, but that should be enough for the kill. Flame's going to TP in. No, that's Pobelter actually. Forced to cancel it there as Impact actually stopped it. 2v1 though. His Impact is getting aggressed on. Teammates are going to run towards him, but they're pretty far away. Dredgeline goes in, knocks up both. But Impact doesn't have a whole lot of health left. Flash away is going to go towards Contractz. Q tags in. And now Jensen's going to turn it around with a bit of help from his jungler. Impact hooks back in as well and gets a kill onto Dardoch. What a turnaround from Cloud9.
Yeah, Impact just runs towards the nearest teammate. He knows he's going to be alive a while. And C9 able to collapse down. That's an example of Dardoch pushing a little bit too far. He got the ult, he got the flash out of Impact, but then he blindly chased into the river, and that's where things went wrong.
Cloud9 going to get a turret out of the deal as well. So we talked about the gold lead not being too bad. It's getting a little out of control now. 4,000 gold to the 2,000 we had only seconds ago. Cloud9 more than doubling.
Yeah, Caster Curse. A couple big plays happen there. C9 goes for a play mid lane. They use the Ashe arrow onto the more vulnerable team members. Look at this cross-map arrow by Sneaky. He doesn't care if this hits the Varus or the Lulu because at this range, the stun duration is going to be about 3.5 seconds. It hits Olleh. C9 immediately jumps on it. And Dardoch wants to get the counterplay. It's a bait teleport, so to speak. We thought Pobelter canceled it, but it turns out it's because Impact engaged. You get a little baby fish on Impact, but it doesn't do much. I like the ultimate there on a Dardoch, able to hit both of them. And then at this point, Dardoch goes too far. Near miss.
Oh,
Cody Sun.
Cody Sun gonna get ulted. There's Malzahar ulti in as well. Jensen wants that flash ulti. Gets himself a kill through wild growth.
Woo. So, yeah, they miss the Ashe arrow. He dodges the stun from Syndra. Still dead. That means you were in the wrong place by a lot. Cody Sun definitely couldn't have been up there, and they do not have the vision control to support that type of position.
Looks like a blue buff steal's gonna follow as well. Impact whomping down the buff. Jensen here to collect it. Pobelter, he kind of wants it. In fact, he's going to go in for it. Dardoch with a smite, going to go through. Fish going to miss. TP in from Flame, finds Contractz. Dardoch going to try and lock that down. Impact Pobelter on the other side, fighting their way back through. Flame needs to lock someone down, but Contractz is out scot-free. No, he's not just yet. Twisted advance in. Dardoch going to kick him back through. Q's going to land in a Contractz shut down.
Immortals punishing C9 for some over-eagerness right there. C9 had 2 full people top lane in full vision while they were trying a play in the blue buff of Immortals, so it makes it pretty easy for Immortals to collapse down there. Now the question can be, can the dual lane even support this? Apparently they don't need it. Jensen just clears the way.
Yeah, this is Syndra things. Really good way for Arrow finds Dardoch this time. Smoothie not going to land the silence in, but Impact on the other side with the TP. Cody Sun again almost gets himself caught. And there's the Dredgeline on. Pobelter going down. Sneaky gets him after the flash. Cody Sun blocked him by the Nautilus as well. Sneaky able to get himself a double kill. And Cloud9 just on top of every situation.
Yeah, and this is not Cody Sun's day. He is getting picked on by the pick composition of C9 right there. Jensen just teleports in, clicks on him. He goes down. Edge of Night not enough to save him. And C9 with the back and forth and back again play, get the advantage.
Yep, T2 mid's going to go down as well, so that gold lead's starting to grow a little further out of control. 6,000 gold ahead for Cloud9. They doubled it before, they've now tripled their effort from a few minutes ago, and Infernal Drake's just coming up.
Yeah, watching this one more time, this is the extension of the play with the Nautilus TP. It nails Dardoch. Cody Sun is really just trying to run for his life, but he has nowhere to go. Lands his ultimate onto Smoothie, can't chain to anyone else. Nautilus ult just goes straight onto Cody. Makes it easy for Sneaky to pick up the second kill of the fight.
Nice and clean. They did get the Infernal Drake as well in that during the replay, so picking up a nice prize for themselves. You can see 4 turrets to 1. Immortals don't have a whole lot of wiggle room as far as where they can go safely, and we've seen Cloud9's pick competition continually find themselves priority targets. And now that Jensen has that Zhonya's, he's probably feeling much safer than he was before. I mean, Sneaky's also up to 2.5 items. In general, Cloud9 are just using this gold lead to force plays on Immortals, and looks like Baron might be the next objective. I can see the on-the-way pings.
Yeah, C9 has done a very good job of keeping their turret pressure up in this game. Last game, they were up 5 turrets to 0 at one point. This game, it is 4 turrets to 1. And that really limits what Immortals is able to do. You also add to the fact that people they are putting in side lane positions are not vulnerable to Immortals' assassination attempts, which is pretty smart. So when Pobelter goes for play, it's usually on a tank. He would love to be able to get onto Sneaky, but Sneaky's just not putting himself in those positions.
And C9, I think, have showed just really good knowledge of what they want at any point in the game. League is, like you mentioned, always a game where you have to make trade-offs here, and I think choosing between the objective, whether it be the Drake or the turret, is a critical moment you have to make in kind of a split decision. And I would say almost every time, at least in this series, Cloud9 have actually made the correct choice.
Yeah, they really have. Immortals clearly not on the highest level of communication. Dardoch again caught. Where does it go?
Flash ulti in, Olleh! Hit by the Ashe ulti. Pobelter's trying to get back in there, but Dardoch barely lives. That's a kill onto Smoothie, but Pobelter goes down to Sneaky. Penny Corruption follows him, but it's gonna snare a couple up there. Flame trying to get to the fight, but he's a little late. Olleh gonna get snared up again as Jensen and Sneaky trying to fight off the tanks. Olleh's still alive for now as Contractz needs to get himself out. And Impact trying to dodge around, but he's getting locked down by the rest of the team. They need the flank here. Cody Sun gonna eat the stun, but Dardoch looking to fish for a Q. Impact still alive though, as they can't quite get the carries in position, but Contractz eats the arrow in there from Varus Q. Impact still running himself away, and I think he's gonna go down here. Gonna live for a while longer. Good start again from Jensen, but they can't pick off a carry. Flame now taking damage, gets hooked back in as well. C9 turn around a very long team fight.
Oh my goodness, so close in the execution of that. Pobelter had a spectacular entrance into the fight and took out Smoothie right away. Finally got onto one of the assassinatable targets. And from there, we're gonna get to see this one more time as C9 jumps in. They start the fight, but Lulu actually gets all the shielding off on a Dardoch before the Ashe lands, so the cleanness of the initiation wasn't great. And then Pobelter probably shouldn't have taken that extra Q into Sneaky after the assassination and just kind of hopped out. That would have helped. But from here, this is the value of the Armor Pen Varus. Notice that Q that just took Sneaky and Jensen really low. And this is what made Immortals so confident in the rest of this fight, is because Jensen and Sneaky have to dodge those piercing arrows, so therefore they can't help Impact for so long. So they try and just work around the cooldowns of these piercing arrows, and this is where this fight gets really intricate actually, because they're almost trying to play through the tanks, and that's what C9's able to do here. So they're not even worried about Flame, because they know it takes too long to necessarily kill him until they can push the Immortals damage dealers off. Then they can focus the tanks because they no longer have to worry about the piercing arrows. So an intelligent end to that fight by C9.
Great overall awareness from C9 there, using the terrain to their advantage. I missed the summoner heal until we saw it. Sneaky got it over the wall. That's where the free health from Nautilus came from in the back end of that fight. Clever stuff overall for Cloud9. They take the minimum, I guess, which is good news for Immortals. Yeah. But the bad news for them is they couldn't get a very clean fight and maybe parlay into something like the Baron. So Cloud9 still firmly ahead, 6,500 gold. But Immortals starting to ramp up and show that they do have some play in these fights. They just have to not walk into this. Cody Sun flashes away from the arrow.
And the question is that enough to let him escape? C9 really loves to chase.
They've got more stuns. Jensen looking for something, ghosted up to try and find another target, but instead Cloud9 will just continue their run through mid and take down
Immortals has double TP, and they are down in Ashe here. So they are looking to force a fight right here. Pobelter's behind them. When is Flame going to join? He has TP as well, and it's past 20 minutes, so he can get a home guard bonus if they want it.
They're also picking off the wave. Contractz looking for Dardoch. Just pokes him off a potential engage. Impact actually leading the charge is going to cut off Immortals, or at least Pobelter, who's going to have to slip his way out of this one. Stun barely misses from Pobelter. And now he blasts going his way to safety. Good little save there from Pobelter, but Cloud9 did get the turret and get out safely.
Yeah, and I can see that as being one of those lack of communications, or just people being on the different page for Immortals. If you're going to be doing a double TP flank into someone, you have to use both TPs. So they did technically save their inhibitor, so you could argue that only one was necessary, but it hurts when one of their main ways of winning this game is getting access to the backline. That's best done by double TP, and now they just can't do that until Pobelter teleports back.
Yes, Sneaky's arrow is back up as well. So Contractz is going to join him and see if he can't pick somebody off. Immortals are aiding Pobelter here in this top lane. You can see Dardoch now recalling as Contractz and Sneaky really hoping somebody walks by. But I don't think Immortals are silly enough to walk into this one. Although I've said that before.
It could happen. I mean, Pobelter's looking for kills.
Oh, there's the ulti. There's Contractz, Pobelter!
Oh my.
Oh, so greedy for the wave.
Lots of damage, very little vision. So, dangerous game there for Pobelter to be playing.
Cloud9 are actually going to start the Baron as a result. Dardoch got a little bit of vision, now going to pull away. Poke is a little too great with Cody Sun in the backline, firing arrows into them.
Yep.
Cloud9 know that it's kind of not where they want to be as far as positioning goes, so they're going to walk down to the Ocean Drake instead. Pretty confident Immortals won't be making a play because they probably wanted to recall anyway. And Impact's got the bottom lane pushing, so plenty of pressure for Cloud9 to transfer over to this bottom half.
Exactly, and especially as Cloud9 is a blue side team against a very poke-centered Varus, they need to get deep ward control into the red side jungle of Immortals to make Baron a little bit more tenable of an objective, because otherwise, Baron is already doing a fair amount of damage 25 minutes in. The Varus arrows can do immense poke to you, which set up a team fight, which can be teleported in by Flame. So they started it to see that there is vision, but pretty difficult to do against this Varus and Immortals team.
Cody Sun is pretty all in on that poke as well. He's got probably the most effective lethality you can get, including that last Whisper that's just sitting out on its own, and another Serrated Dirk. So, you know, he's not going to kill Impact anytime soon, but he certainly hurts the squishes, which we saw in that last team fight around the Immortals red buff.
And they're taking the slow and steady approach against Impact and really just focusing the targets in which lethality can be effective. There's no armor except for one cloth armor on Smoothie on anyone else that's not the Nautilus.
There's more to come. There's a slow flash off from Smoothie! Oh.
It just keeps happening there. Pobelter, he wants to be able to split push on this Fizz, but he hasn't built the QSS, and Smoothie's really making him pay for it.
That's a hazard to filthy champion.
Yeah,
this feels bad.
When a support forces you into building QSS, that really hurts. That more than anything gives him a ton of value in the lane phase.
And poor Fizz, you know, he thinks he's safe. He's got a stasis on command, and then instant flash ulti, and there's just nothing he can do. C9 looking to maybe bust open the inhibitor. So already breaking the center of the map. Pobelter dead for 15 more seconds. So Cloud9 going to use that window of opportunity to push in. Impact, as always, leading the front line. Finds a hook onto... Oh, it is Cody Sun! Wild Growth committed there from Olleh. I didn't know if it was the rock or not. And they'll take the inhibitor.
Who could get hit by Impact Suck? Ah, Cody Sun, again. It's a tough game for him. Doesn't have to burn summoner spells, though, because mainly Impact zoning.
Wants to make a play. Jensen says nope. Impact even had the hook ready, just in case Dardoch was super eager to commit for that one. And Cloud9 take the inhibitor, back themselves away, and they're still up 8,000 gold. Not nearly as fast-paced as game number one, but about as controlled as we saw before. Arrow, Cody Sun, no, not there. Oh, it's Flame they won.
He's got no flash and no teaming.
All right, he's going to live for quite a while, but maybe not long enough. Flame still taking a good chunk of damage. Ultimate committed from Nautilus. Redemption heal in there to keep everyone safe. Dardoch looking to make the play, but he gets ulted in by the Malzahar. Jensen forces on. He's a Sneaky, takes down the Maokai. Dardoch wants to play. Pobelter shuts down Sneaky with the fish, and he's dive in to try and get the rest of it here. Cody Sun sniping where he can with the back, but Jensen, ooh, barely misses the stun.
And a slight win by C9 there in the team fight, but you can see the idea that Immortals would have, even though they're very far behind in this game. Just C9 trying to pick Flame takes an incredibly long amount of time, and in chasing, it opens them up to be flanked by the Fizz and the other backline access targets that Immortals have. So they knew Flame Flash was down for earlier, so they go for the arrow, even though it misses, they can get off. But Curse of Colossus, huge shield right off the bat. They still have Lulu and Summoner heal if they want to keep him alive. So they burn the heal right at the end as they have Dardoch going in. And this allows Pobelter to watch the top of your screen, land the big shark onto Sneaky. boom, he's gone. That lowers the damage C9 has even more. And then when the piercing arrow cuts through the rest of C9, he takes the most. So that's what Immortals want to do, but they're so far behind. C9 turn immediately for Baron.
Pobelter's teleporting in. Redemption, not going to get it. Contractz able to take that down.
Close.
I think it was Olleh, actually.
Yeah.
Who maybe tried to steal it. It's hard to tell, but Contractz able to smite it down, and that's a Cloud9 Baron. Almost 10,000 gold ahead as well, and this game should get much trickier for Immortals now.
Yeah.
They were fighting, but this is a tough thing to come back from.
Exactly. Baron, if anyone gets picked off by C9, now that they have the Baron buff, they should be able to continue to push in. Their damage also ever increasing now. Sneaky has the crit build built up as well as the armor penetration, so it won't take quite as long to cut through that. Sunfire Cape, Frozen Heart, Flame. Immortals are not known as the patient ones when they're down in a game, especially Dardoch. So even though it's looking pretty grim, doesn't mean Immortals won't try for a fight, probably at their inhibitor turn.
Well, they might have some space here, but Pobelter busy clearing out super minions. Impact starting that pressure towards the bottom lane as well. In fact, Cloud9 might even join him as they've got away pushing in towards the top side of the map. Cloud9, I think mid and here might be coming back up soon, which is why they're moving their way around. Instead, they'll transfer power to this bottom lane and try and break that, which maybe makes sense with the Elder Dragon coming up in a minute 20.
Yeah. Just get as much vision as possible, as you're saying. They can move their control wards to this side if they so choose. But honestly, with this Baron buff right now, if they see an opportunity, they should not be afraid to go in.
And that's something from Cloud9 that has been nice. They're not afraid. No, there's Dardoch in. That's a big pick there. Flame blocks him down, and Pobelter gets Contractz as well. Cody Sun takes out Sneaky. Shotgun to Contractz is good damage. Pobelter's dodges his way out as Jensen is trying to fight as best he can. Stun lands in as Contractz on a rampage takes down the Fizz. Flame blocked up there as well, eating the damage from Jensen's ulti, but he lives through it for now. Spike's not enough. Stun's not enough there for Jensen either. And a 1-for-1 trade, all things considered.
Yeah, that's Dardoch for you, though. No hesitation. Gets the priority target and the sustained DPS out of the fight right away and allows Immortals to get a 1-for-1 as well as saving that inhibitor turret. So that counts as a win for Immortals in that situation.
Well, so Elder Dragon is the next thing on their mind, so Xenon will pull away from their potential siege. Immortals have a little while longer to defend on that inhibitor, but really nice stuff here from Immortals.
Yeah, let's watch how Dardoch gets in. It's just a Q on to impact. Ward jump, flash, kick. And he does that all before Smoothie can react with the Nether Grasp. They kill Sneaky, and then the fight continues. I would have liked to see a little more forward play by Flame there to try and get Jensen off of Pobelter, to save him a little bit out of the Zonias, but they end up finishing off Pobelter. Now, with the Kha'Zix, go straight for the Elder.
Yeah, Elder Dragon, not as tough as it used to be. And C9 certainly have plenty of damage to rip through it here. Sneaky blast comes his way over just to join his teammates, and Cloud9 gonna have both big buffs. Look to shove down bottom lane.
There is no reprieve for Immortals right here, as Baron buff has about half a wave of durability left. There's a chance Baron will fall as the minions reach the turret, but Elder Drake will be there for another 2.5 minutes, and it's quite empowered. 3 elemental drakes, meaning a bunch of true damage burn, and they just walk into the turret.
Impact actually face tanking. Doesn't take too much damage. This inhibitor's gonna melt down as well, and the mid one is reopened, ready for taking once again.
Yep.
Dardoch, he needs to make another big play. He's got his ultimate back up. He won't have his flash this time around, and Flame actually was top lane getting that pushed in, but Cloud9 are just saying, you know what, we can leave one side wave here because we've got a good window to do a real damage and possibly even end the game.
Yeah, and Sneaky still has his flash available this time if Dardoch were to go for another play. The last thing that I'd expect to see out of Immortals is when Elder Drake does fall, if they tried a double TP with Pobelter and Flame because they've finally been able to sync up those cooldowns. It's going to be very tricky, however, because C9's got the classic double inhib down, wait for the super minions to crash, group up in the top lane, and just wait. Because even if Immortals does double TP, that would mean super minions can take down those Nexus turrets.
Yep, and just doing the last few buys here as well. In fact, Smoothie with a whole host of damage.
Hey!
Gonna pull this wave away.
He hasn't even gone. He's full utility.
Yeah.
He's actually just built shielding items on a non-shielding support because Redemption is busted right now on top of Locket. So Redemption is slightly nerfed in the next patch, 7.2, but we're still on 7.1.
Contractz waiting a little impatiently in his brush. Got a control word down just in case. Somebody wants to walk by, but Immortals know that they have to play back, hunker down, and try and defend this push that's coming. Cloud9, Baron has dropped as expected, but Elder Dragon will last more than long enough for this siege, maybe even for an extra wave. The Immortals have a lot to fight through now.
You see that timer on the bottom left, the Elder Drake icon on Sneaky. It's a 2.5-minute buff. That means there's about 15 to 20 seconds left, which is enough time to burst down this turret. C9 needs to do their best to force Immortals into fighting them now.
Impact almost got a pick there. That could have ended it very early. Flame gets onto Impact, starts something here, but Impact is so horrendously tanky. Buff's going to fall off pretty soon, so it's only going to be the one wave here for sieging. Immortals do a good job clearing the waves out, but mid and bottom lane are starting to be problems as well. C9 know all they have to do here is wait.
Yeah, and Immortals actually has really bad wave clear for those double super minions, so C9 really will be benefited by patience here. But that's the double single TP coming in from Maokai.
No patience needed. Flames in the back, locks down Syndra, but Jensen stuns him away. They're going to try and shield him forever as Impact just 1v4ing in the backside of the fight. Flame living for so long, but Impact's tying everybody else up. Pobelter caught by the Malzahar. It's going to go down to Sneaky. Dardoch getting left on. There's a double in for the Ashe. There's another kill there as Contractz jumps on and gets himself one. And Flame against everybody else is going to fall down. Sneaky gets a triple. And C9 going to surge in for the win.
Yeah, Immortals had to try something because of the ticking time bomb of those supers coming in, but I don't understand why they wouldn't try a double TP with how low they got Pobelter with just the Maokai. C9 again, though, quite clean, 20 kills to 5.
2 games, perhaps too easy. Cloud9 with yet another sweep. Looking just so good. Certainly a tougher fight there in the second game. Contractz and Jensen ran away with game 1. But even in a more controlled game, even in a game where they did have to play the map a little more, still looking just on top of everybody else.
Yeah, and I mean, we're saying they didn't run away with the game because it took 10 minutes longer than the last one, but Contractz was 8-1-9, which is 17 of 20 kills participated in just that one death. So still a very solid performance by Cloud9. Although a little bit more subdued in game 2.
I'll put it this way for you. Not as flashy, but just as decisive. Cloud9 still looking good. Very good, in fact. And, you know, it is early, but this is a team that's toppled so many of the big names from last season.
Yeah.
They've beaten Dignitas as well. Granted, that was closer, but that is also a team that people expected to rise towards the top. We're starting to get to the point where it's not like, when? Like, how are they going to lose? But when will they lose? Because Cloud9 kind of have, at least in the early, like the first half of the season, they've got the big problems out of the way early.
Yeah, and exactly who will they lose to?
Exactly.
Because I think you would be crazy to rank anyone above Cloud9 in a theoretical power ranking right now, based on how they have looked in their victories against the teams they've played. They're top of the league in all of those categories. So really just nothing but positive things to say about Cloud9 early on in the split.
And I think it speaks so much to the infrastructure. Contractz, a rookie player, looked very clean. I mean, we know he's talented, but he seems very easily integrated into that team. Ray, their top lane substitute, has already started playing games. He's kind of being groomed to be another great player potentially for the team if they need him. And we know he's also very mechanically talented. Like, the draft's looking good, the map play's looking good. Like, I cannot speak more highly of the coaching staff and the infrastructure of Cloud9.
Yeah, Reaper has done a really good job, and I keep complimenting his drafts, and just remember that it is not just the coach, it's the team that's able to set that up, because they have been able to have enough versatile players that can play enough champions that their drafts have been really potent and popular and all these things. And it helps when you win both sides of mirrors. You'd be like, man, they drafted that side of the mirror real well, when really it's just the players that are able to win. So keep that in mind. But yeah, C9 looked really good. Immortals still a fair bit of growth to do, right?
Yeah.
The problems we thought they had coming into this, where they were pushing too hard and going for too many plays without the efficiency, kind of hurt them right there, and it's one of the reasons they fell behind.
Hurt them certainly a lot, but for more on that Cloud9 win, let's check in with Riv, waiting on stage with Cloud9's man in the bot lane.